So like this, everybody understood the power of Ramanacharya, and then Ramanacharya then accepted everything that the Lord gave. He accepted it by His mercy, and then he started cultivating this movement. As one of his instructions was to establish the place of worship properly. So in Ranganath temple itself, that time all these Martha Brahmanas they were spoiling few things. It was not being followed properly. So the Lord personally instructed him to clean up the place. Clean the place means all the worship has to be nicely done. So Ramanacharya arranged everything to be nicely arranged. Naturally, the priests that time were all envious of Ramanacharya. They didn't want to, because their position was endangered, so they didn't want to accept what Ramanacharya was doing. So one of the priests, because what Ramanacharya would do every day, he would go for madhukari. Every day he would go for begging to get food. It was not like somebody would be preparing prasadam for him. No, every day he would go, whatever he would get, he would accept that. So one day he was going to a particular house. That priest actually bribed that householder to mix poison in the prasadam and give it to Ramanacharya. So the ladies, they are by nature, they will not do like this. But the husband forced her. So somehow or the other she did it. She went, but she could not take it away. When she saw Ramanacharya and the beautiful form, his wonderful effulgent appearance, the sannyas danda and all that, immediately she fell in front of him and she started crying. She didn't say what happened, she started crying. And it is a normal procedure that when somebody gives prasadam with tears, you should not accept that prasadam. It's not considered auspicious. So Ramanacharya said, I will not accept it. So he did not accept it. In this way, nothing happened. So the priest also came to understand after some time that it's not a normal person, ordinary person. So he surrendered to the feet of Ramanacharya and he became a devotee. Also during that time, there was this, many times in Chaitanya Leela also we understand that Keshava Kashmiri, like personalities like this come from time to time to challenge, the doctrine of Vaishnavism. So there was this personality called Yagnamurti. He was an expert debater, like Keshava Kashmiri, expert. He would go and like Keshava Kashmiri would carry a certificate with him everywhere he goes and acknowledge the defeat of everybody who was defeated. So like this he was showing everything. That nobody has defeated me. All this. So Ramanacharya said, okay, just to protect the interest of Vaishnavism, I will accept it. But he was such a great scholar that even Ramanacharya could not defeat him. And the debate continued for 17 days. So you can imagine how wonderful the scholar Yagnamurti is. If Ramanacharya could take 17 days, continue the debate, he is not an ordinary person. So on the 17th day after all this happened, Ramanacharya went and spoke to Ranganath. He said, I am so incapable, I am not able to defeat the doctrine of monism. At this rate, our movement will be destroyed. So actually he paid to Varadaraja Perumal, not Ranganath, Varadaraja Perumal. So Varadaraja Perumal said, don't worry, you just take this quotation or this literature from Yamunacharya and he gave some instructions. You will speak like this, everything will be okay. So he was very happy. Next day he was eager to go and speak. He came in front of Yagnamurti and said, come on, let's continue the debate. But by the time he came with that appearance, Yagnamurti said, now there's no point, I cannot debate. He immediately surrendered. So this is the wonderful, the Lord, how merciful He is that, at every such juncture, the Lord personally comes and does something. So this way, Yagnamurti also surrendered to him. He became an Acharya also. And he became so humble that every time Ramanacharya would tell devotees to go and surrender to him, not to me, surrender to him. And he would send them back. No, I cannot accept. He would send them back to Ramanacharya. So in this way, many days he spent in Srirangam. One day he went to Kanchi Mahapurna, his spiritual master, and said that now in the Sampradaya of Sri Vaishnava, there are three things that all the Acharyas or everybody has to learn. It's called Rahasya Traya. So one is basically who accepts Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya will have to follow these three. One is the Mahamantra chanting, their mantra. Then Dvaya mantra is the Gayatri mantra. And Charama Shloka, they call Charama Shloka. Charama Shloka means the important shloka in Bhagavad Gita, which is that Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mam Ekam Sharanam. So that verse is called Charama Shloka in Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya. So he wanted to understand the meaning of the Mahamantra and the Charama Shloka. He approached Mahapurna. Now it is explained by Acharyas that when Yamunacharya left, Sri Ramanacharya was still not part of the parampara at that time because he was still with Mayavadi school. So he left instructions with his 5 disciples that when Ramanacharya is ready, you please distribute this message to him. So just like a king, before leaving his body or before accepting Vanaprastha or sannyas, if the prince is very small, he would keep the knowledge or whatever he has to share with few key ministers. And when the boy grows up, he would give instructions. The same way the 5 disciples, the duty was to distribute the knowledge to Ramanacharya. They were specifically instructed by Yamunacharya. So Mahapurna was one of them who initiated him. Then when he went to ask about this Charama Shloka and Mahamantra, he said, you please approach Goshti Purna. Goshti Purna was a great devotee who was living 60 kilometers away from Srirangam, in a place called Tirukottiyu. The place is still there, the temple is still there. So immediately Ramanacharya set out to go to meet Goshti Purna. So when he reached the village, he asked some devotees, where does Goshti Purna, where is his house? They showed, oh, this is the place. Maybe so 2 months away, he showed the tower, this is the place. From that place onwards till he reached, he was doing Dandavat. Dandavat, flat, get up, again to Dandavat. He went like that all the way to Goshti Purna's house. That is the eagerness of surrender. We should understand from that. It is not a show. Eagerness of surrender. And then when he reached Goshti Purna's house, he submitted himself and said, I want to learn about this mantra and Charama Shloka. But Goshti Purna was not like a... No, those days the gurus were very, very strict. They would test the disciples properly before they would give any instruction. So Goshti Purna said, not now, we come back next time. So like this he went 17 times. Just imagine, if you given that position, okay, you keep the knowledge with you, I don't want to, you come back. No? Our false ego will not allow us to go back again. But Ramanacharya went back 17 times. And this 17 is important because this verse appears in the 18th chapter. So 17 times he had to go till he got the final verse from the 18th chapter. In the 18th time he went also, he didn't go directly in front of Goshti Purna. Some devotees saw this and they went and recommended to Goshti Purna, said, please have mercy on him, please give him the instruction. So then he said to please come. Then when he came with Kuresha and Dasharathi. He said, I asked you to come alone, why you came with these two? He said, no, they are inseparable, they are always with me. I cannot separate them. He said, okay. To three of you I will give you the knowledge, but you are not supposed to tell this to anyone. Because this mantra should only be chanted by one who is pure in heart, has gone through all the samskaras and different things. Otherwise you are not qualified to chant this mantra. Because this mantra has so much potency that you can, once you chant this mantra, you are immediately liberated out of hell. So Ramanacharya then was very happy to learn this mantra, and Kuresha and Dasharathi also learned. After learning this, Ramanacharya asked, what about Charama Shloka? I want to learn about Charama Shloka also. So then Goshti Purna said, okay, I tell you and Kuresha, but not Dasharathi. He said, why sir? Why? No, he is not qualified yet to hear about this verse. So he told Dasharathi later on that you come to Goshti Purna, and he also had to do the same thing. He had to come a few times. And after that, Goshti Purna said, now you go and learn from Ramanacharya. See, because some of the other Dasharathi, although he was a great devotee, he had some pride in his heart that he is a relative of Ramanacharya. He had a little bit of pride. So Goshti Purna could see that with this pride you cannot understand the meaning of this shloka. So it is the purity, that how much, if you just look at Srila Prabhupada's books, we have no qualification to read those books. Not even touch those books, but Prabhupada has just given it, take it, doesn't matter, no qualification. But those days Acharyas were not like that. They would properly test the disciple and then give the mantra. So these two got, Ramanacharya and Kuresha got the Charama Shloka, and after that he left. And he was caught up thinking that this mantra is so powerful, it can liberate people from hell. Why is it kept only to myself and these two disciples? No, I should give it to everybody. So this very famous temple is in Tirukottiyu. He went all the way to the top of the temple and he shouted at the top of his voice and he gave the mantra to everyone. Om Namo Narayana. Everybody started chanting Om Namo Narayana. Om Namo. He said, all go back to Krishna. And Goshti Purna came to know about this and he was very upset. He came, you have committed a Vaishnava aparadh, you have committed an offense at your feet of a guru, you will go to hell. He said, I will go to hell, but all these are saved. So many people are saved. I go to hell is fine. One person going to hell doesn't matter. But so many people are saved. So it is said by Acharyas that you see the difference between Ramanacharya and other Acharyas. Ramanacharya didn't see any qualification. If he had seen qualification, nobody would become devotees. He just gave it out of kripa, just out of mercy, out of compassion. Just like Srila Prabhupada, went to the West, although everybody was upside down, but still Prabhupada gave everything to everyone. Otherwise we won't be here. So it is that kripa matra, only kripa of the Acharyas, that is started by Ramanacharya specifically. And when he heard this Goshti Purna, I said, I am your disciple. You are not my guru. I am your disciple. You are my guru. I am not your guru. So he said, I never saw this. I could never see this from this perspective. So he is very pleased. So like that he came back from Tirukottiyu back to Srirangam. And then Goshti Purna, before he came to Srirangam, instructed him that now you have to approach Maladhara. Maladhara is one of the other disciples. We spoke about 5 disciples. He said Maladhara will tell you about the Divya Prabandhams of Nammalvar, the prayers of Nammalvar, because you have to preach the glories of Nammalvar everywhere to understand the prayers nicely from Maladhara. So he went to Maladhara, got the 1,000 prayers. Then he went to Vararanga, the last disciple, no, the 4th disciple, who was the son of Yamunacharya. And Vararanga gave the remaining 3,000 prayers to him and also gave him a very important thing about Guru Nishtha. He told him that everything in devotional service is dependent on the service to Guru. You have to have that Guru Abhimana or Guru Nishtha, without which you cannot go to Krishna. So that was firmly established in his heart. Then, after finishing this, he came back to Srirangam and he was continuing his conversations with Mahapurna. Mahapurna told, now you have to go to meet the 5th disciple, who is your uncle himself, who is Shailapurna. Shailapurna living in Tirupati. So he went to Tirupati. And before going to Tirupati, before that, when this movement was going now in Srirangam, it is said that when Ramacharya was speaking a discourse, there were thousands and thousands of people sitting there. At least 200 sannyasis, thousands of householders, and so many Matajis, they all accepted him as spiritual master. They would all be sitting and hearing. So one time Ramacharya was giving a discourse, and the discourse was talking about Tirupati, about Balaji. So there it is said that even the demigods, they come and offer flowers to Lord Balaji, because Tirupati is known as is a Pushpa, the area of Pushpa, is the temple of Pushpa Seva, where all the Pushpa Sevas are offered wonderfully. Pushpa Mandapam is called in Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya. So all the great demigods, all the the pure devotees from spiritual world, they would come and offer flowers to Balaji. So he was hearing about that. At that time, Tirupati was a forest area, completely forest. There were no roads, nothing. All wild animals were living there, and everything was there. So Ramacharya was feeling, somebody has to continue the service to the Lord. So he just asked, who is willing to do? Not one person raised a hand, among thousands of them sitting. So he was feeling dejected. Again he asked, somebody. Then one person raised a hand. His name was Ananta. So he came. And Ramacharya was very happy, appreciative. You are the only man in this whole assembly. Because that time, as I said, everybody was afraid to go to Tirupati. Today, if you ask, very many people will go. There's a nice guest house, everything is there. But those days, nothing was there. So Ananta Alvar, his name is Ananta Alvar, he became Ananta Alvar. So Ananta Alvar's wife was pregnant at that time. And she was almost near the completion of pregnancy. She said, I will go. So they were in Srirangam, and they went walking all the way to Tirupati in that condition. See the surrender of disciple. Because once surrender means everything is actually taken care of by the Lord and the Guru. You don't have to worry. But that faith we don't have. So they set out. And after going there, everything was barren. He had to create a garden and then grow flowers and then offer to the Lord. So he started digging. And he would say, so they would take the mud from this place and he would tell his wife, go throw it that side so that we create a nice place here. But his wife was, very difficult for her to carry all this. And he would say, go fast, you're so slow, you're not doing fast. So the Lord saw that Balaji, he saw that they're doing so much service for me. So he himself came as a boy. Perumal came as a boy. And he said, let me help. This boy said, I got the service. Why are you taking the service away from me? Go away. He chased away the boy. The boy smartly went to the wife. He said, I will help you. You're in such difficult conditions. So she was really feeling very difficult. He said, okay. So he started taking the sand. But now the work started moving very fast. Seeing how is it possible? Till such time you were very slow. But now I see that it's coming by very fast. There must be something. So he went and saw this boy was doing it. He chased away the boy with that fawda. With that, he chased the boy, and the boy of course ran all the way to temple, because he's there. He went all the way, and when he entered the main entrance, normally we do the pradakshinam, we do a particular way. We go from the left like this and come back like this. The Lord went like this, opposite direction. The Lord can do anything. And today also they celebrate this ceremony. It's called Apapradakshina. That ceremony is still observed. Balaji comes out and he goes the other way around. Once a year he does that, just to honor this devotee, Ananda Alvar. So Ananda Alvar went inside and he could not run as fast as the boy, so he just threw the thing at him and he hit him and he started bleeding. And with that the boy entered the altar, inside the sanctum sanctorum. That's why today also, Balaji, wherever Balaji's deities are there, you'll find the Kalpuram, the Pacha Kalpuram, they keep here, just to remember this pastime. Such are the glories of devotees. So like that, Ananda Alva stayed there. He established this beautiful garden that's still there. Even the Ananta Sarovar, which is called Ananta Sarovar, from where the water used to water the garden, that garden is still, that Sarovar is still there. If you go to Tirupati, you can see. This is the wonderful glories of Anantalvar. So he stayed there and Ramacharya was very pleased. So when Ramacharya now decided to go to Tirupati, he also wanted to see Anantalvar there, apart from meeting Shailapurna. So he went to Tirupati. So as you know, there is a lower Tirupati and upper Tirupati. There is the temple is up and the tower is below. And it is said that the whole mountain is actually the body of Adishesh. Adishesh is lying as a serpent just to serve the Lord, as he does always. So he didn't want to step on the mountain. Ramanujacharya said, I don't want to step. Just like Mahaprabhu when he went to Govardhan, he didn't want to step. So he said, no, I will stay here. Then the Lord himself came and told him that don't worry, you can climb, you can come and take darshan, no problem. So after being convinced by Shailapurna and the Lord himself, then he went up to take darshan. But usually he would stay at Tirupati below. So Shailapurna was such a great devotee, such a humble devotee. He was uncle of Ramanujacharya. For anything is there to help him, he would come personally to help Ramanujacharya. Ramanujacharya would ask, why are you coming? You could have sent anybody. And Shailapurna would say, I looked around everywhere, I didn't find anybody lower than me. So I myself came. This is not a show of humility, but naturally he was so humble. He said, I personally came because of that. And every day he would come and he would speak about Ramayana, about Lord Ram's pastimes. Wonderfully, he would give Katha of Ram. Months and months together he would speak every day. And as you know that his service was to give water for Balaji. And you know the distance between Tirupati and Tirumala is not a short distance. Every day he would come, do the Katha, go back, do the service, next day again come. At that advanced age, he would walk every day from top to bottom. And this continued for months and months and months. And he was constantly absorbed in hearing. Naturally, Ramanujacharya, no better than Ramanujacharya would know about Lord Ram, because he is Lakshman himself. So he is always absorbed in hearing about Lord Ram's pastimes, and that way many months passed. And then finally he left Tirumala and came back to Srirangam. So now he has met all the 5 disciples. He got the essence of all the instructions of Ramanujacharya. Now he is fully empowered to again grow the movement. So now he wanted to, now still there are unfulfilled desires of Yamunacharya. Still they are not fulfilled, the 3 desires. What is it? First is to write a commentary. Then to name somebody after the name of Vyasa and Parasara Muni. And to spread the glories of Alvars all over India. So he decided to travel and preach all over India. So he covered all the temples in the south. Then everywhere, it's documented. We will not go into details of every temple, but he went to all the temples. Everywhere he converted devotees to Vaishnavism, established the process of worship nicely in all the temples. Like this he traveled and he finally reached Kashmir. Now Kashmir, there is a particular place where the commentary on Vedanta Sutra written by Bodhayana Rishi is there. It's still preserved in one of the libraries there. So Ramacharya knew about it. He wanted to get that reference to write his commentary, because that is a very authentic commentary. But nobody would give that to him. So he went and met those priests there. They were all actually Mayavadis already. So they didn't have any interest in Vaishnava Sampradaya. But they could understand that Ramanujacharya is such a powerful personality. They were attracted by him. But they would not give that Bodhayana Vritti. It's called Bodhayana Vritti, that book by Bodhayana. Some of the other, Kuresha was there with Ramanujacharya. They were thinking what to do. So Mother Saraswati herself came and told them you have to give the book. So then after that they gave the book. Then he got the book and he returned the journey back to Srirangam. So as they were coming, they would halt in a place on the night and again resume the journey the next day. So when they reached one place, all these those priests, they understood that we should not have given the book. Again they want to take back the book. So they came and met them again and took back the book. So Ramacharya now said, now what to do now? I cannot write the commentary. But Kuresha was such a great personality. He said, don't worry, I have actually memorized the whole thing. Every night when Ramacharya would sleep and he would massage, after massaging he would read the book. Within a few days he mastered the whole book. Ramacharya said, such a wonderful potency you have got, and now using this potency I can write the commentary. And that commentary is called Sri Bhashya. Sri Bhashya is a commentary written by Ramanujacharya on Vedanta Sutra. So one of the desires of Ramanujacharya was thus fulfilled by Kuresha and by Ramanujacharya. So this way he wrote the commentary. And then he also fulfilled the desire of spreading the teachings of Alvars all over the country. So wherever he went, he preached the glories and converted many devotees to Vaishnavism. And in this way they came back. Now Kuresha was getting old also, and he and his wife did not have children. And if you just spend a little time on Kuresha's background, you should understand how wonderful devotee he is. Actually, he is from a very, very wealthy background. He is a very wealthy person. It seems it is told that, and his duty every day was to serve thousands and thousands of people in his house. Everybody would come just like that and he would serve them prasadam. So every day at least 1,000 people would be fed from his house. So after the night when the door, when the main door was closed, because he was so opulent, he was so rich, there were bells in the door. The bells would tinkle. So those sound of the bells could be heard in the Kanchipuram temple, a little far away. So Lakshmi would ask Perumal, who is this person? Seems to be very opulent. So Perumal would say, he's Kuresha. So he's such opulence. And Perumal said, okay, you should not keep so much opulence. I should take back opulence from him. Otherwise he will not come to me. So like that, Varadaraja Perumal had decided to take away his wealth. So in this way, he inspired Kuresha, and Kuresha decided that he should give up everything and just surrender to Ramanacharya. So he and his wife, Andal, his wife's name is Andal, so they decided to leave everything. So he just, at the drop of a hat, he left everything and he was walking. But his wife carried one golden pot just to serve her husband. He wants to drink water, whatever. So on the way through the forest, they decided to take rest at some place. And Kuresha said, why are you worried? No, we don't have anything. Why do we worry about robbers? So Rishi said, I have this pot. You just throw it away. So they didn't have anything. So like how renounced he was, and just to serve his guru. So in that condition they were staying, and they didn't even have prasadam to eat. So one day his wife was feeling very sad because his wife is always serving the husband. Very nicely she was serving. That was the only service. So one day she didn't have prasadam to make, and she was thinking what to do. My husband has not eaten anything today. Like this she was lamenting. But the Lord heard this prayer. And in Kanchipuram there is a practice that after all this offerings are done, prasadam is distributed and the temple will get some revenue out of that prasadam. So like that, the Lord arranged for lots of prasadam to be taken to Kuresha and his wife. So somebody knocked on the door and they opened, they found this wonderful prasadam. Then Kuresha told his wife, you didn't do good, you actually made the Lord work for us. That's not the way. You should never pray like this. So he just took just 2 small portions. He said, you please take it back and give it to the devotees there. And it's told that after his wife and he honored the prasadam, they had 2 children. Not by any bodily contact. There was no body contact at all. Just by honoring the reverence of the prasadam, she gave birth to 2 wonderful children. So you can imagine what those children are, what great souls they are. And those 2 children were named as Vyasa and Parasara, because after the great Munis. So now the 3rd desire of Yamunacharya was fulfilled. So like this, Ramanacharya was spending his time. And now, maybe next 10 minutes, we'll just talk about his last, final pastimes in this world before he departed. So one time when living in Srirangam, there was this wrestler. There was a wrestler, and his name was Dhanur Das. So Dhanur Das he had a very strange habit of, his wife was there, and he thought that his wife's eyes are the most beautiful in the whole creation. He would always look at his wife's eyes and not look at anything else, and he would hold an umbrella over her head so that the sun rays should not spoil her eyes' beauty. And always he would walk like this, holding the umbrella. He would not look at anything else. He doesn't know what is going on. He's completely unaware of what is going around him. Just so transfixed on his wife's eyes. So one time they were passing like this in Srirangam. Ramanacharya saw, what a strange sight this is. He called one of his disciples to call him. He did not even hear when he called him. He was so fixed. After a few times, shaking him and said, oh, okay. Then he came. And then he came and he said, what is this? I've never seen like this. What is so great in the eyes? He said, I've never seen such eyes anywhere in the creation. If we or somebody were there, we would have told, this material body we are not this body, we are this soul, this, we would have told a lot of this philosophy. But Ramanuja didn't say that. He said, if I show you 2 eyes more beautiful than this, will you give up these eyes? He said, yes. So he thought some other girl, some other lady. I'll give up this lady and I'll accept that lady. He said, yeah, come, I'll show you. He took him to the temple. He took him in front of the Lord straight away. And that time Aarti was going on. And he just prayed to the Lord, please show your beautiful eyes to this. Sometimes you cannot see from a distance. Please show just for this person your beautiful eyes. So the Lord heard the prayer, and just for this Dhanur Dasa, he showed his beautiful eyes. And he was he didn't know anything. He just, tears started flowing from his eyes. And he forgot about everything and he surrendered to the feet of Ramanacharya. See, this is the greatness of, the Acharya, the Lord himself. So merciful. And from that day onwards, both the husband and the wife, they became very sincere disciples. But these other disciples, they were not very happy. Because he was from a low caste. So what Ramanacharya would do every day, just to destroy their pride. So while morning before going to take the bath, he would take Dasharathi with him, he hold his hand and go. While coming back, he would hold his hand over the shoulder of Dhanur Dasa and come like that. So the Brahmanas were thinking, what is this? You should not be touching these people, they are not pure, this, that. No, the disciple would speak like this. So Ramanacharya thought that let me teach them a lesson. What he did is, he asked one of his disciples to tear a small piece of dhoti of one of the disciples. And the moment the small piece was gone, they started fighting among themselves. You did this to me, dhoti, my dhoti is gone, this dhoti, that. They started fighting among themselves just for a piece of cloth. So Ramanujacharya said, see, you can't even give up your dhoti. What to speak of renunciation. Then he said, you go and... then he called Dhanudasa one day, and he said, you sit here, purposely. He made him wait there, and he was discussing with him. And told those two disciples who were fighting to go to his house and steal something from there and come. So the two disciples went there. When they went, of course, the wife was alone at home and she had slept. And naturally they were quite well-to-do, so she was wearing a lot of ornaments and all that. So they went and decided to take away all the ornaments. So she was sleeping like this on one side. So one side they took everything. And the wife actually wanted, she knew what was happening, so she didn't stop them. But just that they could take the other side also, she turned. So when she turned, these people got afraid. They became very afraid. She's going to get up now. So they ran away from there. And they came back. And now, when they came back, Ramanujacharya told Dhanudasa, now you go back home. Your wife is getting quite late. Your wife was alone at home. And after he went, he told these two disciples to also follow and see what is happening there. So when he went there, they were hearing from the window. Dhanudasa was still explaining that this is what happened. And I turned. He said, what a fool you are. You should not have turned. Because you turned, they could not take the other thing. They were poor brahmanas, they did money for the service of Ramanujacharya. You should not have done like this. That means you still are not renounced. You're not, this is the instruction he was giving. And when they heard this, they said, what a great mistake we made. And this is how Ramanujacharya used to teach the disciples very wonderfully. One time, Dhanudasa was sitting in the discourse, and Ramanujacharya was speaking about Vibhishana, the surrender of Vibhishana. We know in Ramayana, like when Vibhishana came with his associates, all the devotees, they were arguing, no, we should not accept him, we should not accept him, he's from enemy camp, he's come with a plan to cheat us, this and that. They were all arguing, Sugriva was arguing, everybody was arguing, but Lord Ram was very upset. If somebody who has come to take Sharanagati at me, I have to accept him. We cannot question this. So this way he was telling. So Dhanudasa suddenly, started crying and he got up from his place and he started walking away from the discourse. So Ramanujacharya stopped him. What is this? Where are you going? He said, if Vibhishana has this position, what to speak of me? I am so low. I don't have any qualification. I'm not going to get any liberation. So there's no point for me, to continue like this. If Vibhishana himself is in such a position. So like that he was walking away. So Ramanujacharya said, don't worry. He asked him, do you believe that I will go back to Krishna? He said, of course, you will definitely go back. Then I will take you, don't worry, he said. Whenever I go, I will just take you with me. You're guaranteed, don't worry. So then Dhanudasa was very happy. Then Ramanujacharya said, I also asked my Guru, because I have no qualification, how can I go back? My Guru asked me told me the same thing, that will you trust that I will go back? I said, yes, then I will take you. So this is how the Guru Parampara system is. One of the devotees was giving an example that, in temples and all that you find long chains. So sometimes you pull. And if you're at the end of the chain and the other end is at the lock. So if you pull this lock from here, you can actually open the door. Although you're not connected to the lock itself, by just pulling the chain which is connected to the next chain, to the next chain, to the next chain, all the way to the lock, just by pulling this, actually you get the same benefit. So our duty is just to follow the Acharya. He will follow the previous Acharya, like this, and go back to Krishna. That is the only job we have to do. We don't have to know about the Lord, we don't have to see the Lord, we just have to follow the Guru. The Guru will follow his Guru, like that they are connected to Krishna. And that is the safest path for us. So he's also given an example of a traffic signal, like many cars are standing and you cannot even see the light. It is turning green or red, whatever. But you cannot see the light, doesn't mean that you stay there. The moment the car in front goes, you also move, isn't it? You don't see the light, but you know that the car in front has moved, so I can move. If you wait for the signal, nobody will ever move. So like this, it's a parampara system that we have to follow very nicely. Then one time, Mahapurna's daughter, she was married and in-laws, she didn't have a good time at the in-laws' place. The mother-in-law was always troubling her. And it was a custom during that time that when the daughter goes, she also takes a maid servant with her to help her in the in-laws' house. So like that they were going, but she was from a poor background. Mahapurna did not have much money, so she went alone without any servant. So whenever she would complain of the lot of work, she had to do so much work there. She had to walk kilometers to get water, and it was a forest area, so she complained to the mother-in-law that I cannot go alone. She said, no, it's your problem, you get a servant and it's not my problem. So she came and submitted in front of Mahapurna. Mahapurna said, you go, everything is surrendered to the feet of Ramanujacharya. Whatever it is, like Prabhupada, everything, they would come with all the problems. marriage problems, this problem, that problem, everything they would come to the Guru. We cannot dream like this, go to acharyas with all the problems. I remember myself, Guru Maharaj was there, other than devotional service, everything else used to go to ask him. Maharaj studies, school, this, that, all kinds of nonsense we used to ask. So like this, you complete surrender, everything you go and ask Ramanacharya. So she went and told, Rama said, just looked around at all his disciples, who can go. So he stopped at Dasarathi. Dasarathi, as we spoke earlier, had a little bit of pride in his heart, that he was a intimate relative of Ramanacharya. So Dasarathi immediately followed, he said, I will come. Then he went as a servant, he served there, every day he would get water. He's such a learned scholar, but he never thought about all that. He just did service to follow his guru. And one day, some guests had come to the house and they were discussing about some philosophy. And they were talking all about Mayavadi philosophy. Then immediately, said, that's not correct, and he told the whole thing. I said, you are just a servant. How can you have such potency? Then he said that, I am the Dasa of Ramanacharya. He didn't even tell his name, that is Dasarathi, because everybody knew about him. So like this, Dasarathi was, all the disciples, they followed the Guru to the T, always. Then while this was happening, the king, in that Chola king during that time, he was a strong Shaivite. So he wanted to convert everybody to Shaivism. So one of the disciples of Kuresha, not disciples of Kuresha, disciples of Ramanacharya had actually gone a bit away. And he went and told this king that if you get a stamp from Ramanacharya, everybody will become Shaivites. You just get writing from him, everybody will follow him. So Kuresha came to know about this, and he said, now it's time for you to leave this place because you cannot stay here. So Kuresha and Mahapurna, they decided they will stay here, stay back, and then Ramanacharya would leave. So that's how Ramanacharya left that place and he went to a place called Melkote. Melkote is a place near Mysore, where a beautiful temple of Lord Narayana is there. Wonderful temple of Nrsimha Dev is there, and Lord Narayan's temple is there in Melkote. So that was established by Ramanacharya. There was a deity was established, everything was restored by the Lord, by Ramanacharya. So that's how the Lord arranged for this to happen. And while Ramanacharya was away, the king obviously came and they took hostage of Kuresha and Mahapurna, and Kuresha's eyes were taken out, gouged out. And Mahapurna also went through a lot of suffering. And then Mahapurna left his body around that time. And it's also beautiful to understand how he left his body. They were a little away from Srirangam. So Kuresha asked Mahapurna that, why don't you leave your body in Srirangam? It's just a little away. So no. If I leave the body in Srirangam, it means that I am offending Ramanacharya. Said, which means that all the followers of Ramanacharya have to go to Srirangam to leave the body. No. As long as you connect to Ramanacharya, wherever you are, you can leave the body. Like Prabhupada, Prabhupada never bothered to him that, of course, he came to Vrindavan, but he never bothered him. He was ready to leave his body anytime, wherever he was. As long as you remember Krishna, as long as you follow the instructions, it doesn't matter, the place doesn't matter. So like that, he left the body in some place away from Srirangam, and of course, he went back to Krishna. So like this, and the Chola king also, because of so many offenses he did to devotees, he also was afflicted by disease and he also passed away. And the king's son was fortunately favorable to Ramanacharya, so he became a devotee and everything was okay. So then Ramanacharya came back to Srirangam, and then he spent his last few days there, and during the last few days he was completely absorbed